Welcome to Vegan Ultra. This is Thursday night, so it's time for Vegan Chat with Adam and Sean, your two inspiration guides to help you become the ultra version of yourself, which you can accomplish if you give it a chance and are powered by plants. Today, we're talking about last week we talked about the most effective way to evangelize the world, to spread the message about the benefits of a Blue Zone vegan diet. Today, we want to address the issue that so many people have. Okay, I've decided to try this. How do I stick to it so I can benefit for life? And so, as I mentioned in a previous video, I recently suffered a major setback at work that is a kind of blow. It's like the equivalent of a husband and a wife, one of them losing their job, income falling 50+%. And my dietitian told me she is so proud of me because it seems that this setback has only made me more vegan. And most vegans she knows and has worked with, that moment they face any kind of crisis in life such as this, they go running back to that junk food. They go back to all those bad habits. So today we're talking with Sean. Sean has been vegan for 10 years now. His wife about 8 years. So of course, Sean, tell me, how was it for you when you went vegan? Did you suffer any kind of crisis, and how did that you overcome that?
Sure. The biggest challenge that I had was just I think I told you on our first chat that I had in the first few weeks I had a little panic about not getting enough nutrition or not getting enough calories, and I went to the store and bought some bison meat, and then I was embarrassed after that. But I did have a friend. Some months later, I had a friend return to town, and we went out to eat with him, and we went on a long hike, and I was extremely hungry, and I didn't have it in me to wait to sit through dinner with him and my wife, and then go eat something vegan or something plant-based. Sorry. So it was such a downfall. So we ate at like a pizza place, and I think I ordered like a veggie pizza with cheese on it. And then after that, I was like, well, it's the bricks are starting to fall, because then we were right next to an ice cream place. And I'm like, okay, I don't know, I guess I can eat ice cream. And then I just wasn't plant-based anymore after that, and I felt terrible every day. And this continued for a long time, a number of months. And so I would have this is the week I'm gonna go back to eating fully plant-based.
And just to clarify, so how long into your vegan journey did this episode occur?
I think this started at about somewhere around 6 months in. I think aside from the bison deli slices incident, that was like one day in the middle of the first few weeks. And then after that, I got back to plant-based. I was already reading the right material at the time. I started reading Dr. Furman right away. And then I moved on to reading some Colin Campbell. And I think within that time frame, I was finding the Mike the Vegan channel, which was super helpful for me. And then this was somewhere around 6 months in. So then I want to say that I was eating not plant-based for another around 4 to 6 months or so. I don't remember exactly how long that duration lasted. I know that I don't like to think about it a lot because I'm ashamed of that. I knew everything that I needed to know, but I didn't have the discipline, and I guess I didn't have the the belief in myself, or I just kept managing to convince myself that if I didn't need to figure it out yesterday, I don't need to figure it out today either. And then really, I think what helped me the most was when my older sister and my wife were both ready to go, you know what, we're going vegan too. So then we all started working on it at the same time, and I found that incredibly motivating and inspiring. And I don't know, maybe I felt a little bit less like an outsider, and I think I had the ego drive too, that I thought, I'm not gonna let my my sister and my wife be the only leaders of the path here. I know what to do, and I'm gonna start eating the right way. And I started working on it, and it was easy. So in retrospect, I almost followed the Barnard approach, where you spend some period of time exploring foods, finding out what you like, finding out what's going to be good for you, and then after you've explored those foods, then you make a meal plan and you start to put it into action, and you crowd out the old foods with the new foods. Only difference is I wasn't reading Barnard at the time, and I put this giant gap of a few months in between the exploration and the putting it into action.
Well, no, but this is one of those things that's very inspiring, because a lot of people, they talk about being in transition to a plant-based diet. And so there are literally some people who will start out with meatless Monday, and then they'll do that for a month. Then they'll add meatless Tuesday, meatless Wednesday, or every 2 days, every 3 days, and they'll just gradually get to the point where it's like, after 7 months, it's like, okay, now I'm eating, or they'll try something like Veganuary, which is I think up to 700,000 people a year now. And it's just, trying something like, you mentioned Dr. Barnard. We can basically link. There's the Physicians Committee. They have a 21-day boot camp where they have a wonderful site. It's free. They've got recipes, and it's like, basically the idea is, like you mentioned, it's like 21 weeks or 21 days. First week is all about just exploring what you're going to like, and then you try it for 3 weeks. And the reason for this is because 3 weeks is roughly what it takes for your taste buds to change. And so you'll start to notice that you just enjoy the foods more. And so, this it sounds like, for what you're describing, was almost kind of your own personal transition. And, that is something that, whatever helps you ultimately get there. And so it sounds like, about 6 months in, you had this thing, 6 months. Now it's basically been a year. So, essentially then it's your sister and wife went plant-based and vegan. And so now it's been around you have you been basically vegan the entire time since?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been fully vegan and strictly plant-based the entire time since then. And I think the bedrock for me was a combination of having read a lot of material and a lot of material that's backed by a lot of studies. So at the time, my Bible was the book The End of Dieting by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. And Dr. Fuhrman's advice is to go about getting your G-bonds as much as you can on a daily basis, and that's your greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. And so this is good advice. It made me feel really good. I slept great.
And it just to clarify for those people who don't know, I think Dr. Fuhrman, his thing is hypernutritional density. So he's like, make sure that you're eating stuff like, like the greens and like the beans, like the superfoods packed with nutrients. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Fuhrman is the one who came up with the Live Long, Die Fast. And, that I've kind of incorporated into my personal mantra, love every second of it. So, so Dr. Fuhrman, he's your guy, basically. He's like your super vegan doctor.
Yeah, that's he's kind of the benchmark that I've been following, and now, it's been close to a solid 9 years straight of plant-based since then, and so to that top tier of guiding voices, I would say that I've added Dr. Alan Goldhammer, Dr. Neil Barnard, and T. Colin Campbell and Caldwell Esselstyn and Rip Esselstyn. Any one of them is going to offer some extremely helpful advice. The thing that worked in my mind following Furman's advice, I gave myself a very easy set of rules. When I first was vegan and plant-based, I had only 2 rules, and the first rule was that it had to be vegan, without exceptions, and the second rule was that before I ate anything, all I had to do was recite G-bonds in my head. So I didn't have any rule that said, well, you can't eat this, or this has too much sodium, or you have to limit these portions, or you have to eat a minimum number of these servings. I didn't do any of that. I just reminded myself on every single meal that I should be shooting for getting my G-bonds. And as long as I recited it in my head, that helped me when I was grocery shopping. It helped me when I was, picking an item at a restaurant. It helped me steer a little bit away from the foods that did not have a lot of redeeming value, unless I didn't feel like it. If I felt like eating a meatless, cheeseless pizza, then fine. I just had to follow the rule that I still had to recite G-bonds in my head, and that was an approach that worked really well for me. I've heard some criticisms of Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, but he's just coming at it from a different angle. That's another great, tactic that people can use. See how many of the Daily Dozen you can fit into your day. Whatever trick works for you. For me, it was G-bonds.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful thing. Like for me, that what's really helped is the soup. I mean, dude, just take the Daily Dozen, throw it into a crock pot. Just like as I learn about these various meta-analyses, it's just like, I tell you, it's like we're gonna do an entire episode on Dr. Greger and like some of his books. Like I'm doing it. I'm listening to How Not to Age, and let me tell you, man, it's just like, I mean, I know we're both going to the lecture in February when he's coming to Minneapolis, and oh my God, it is some life-changing stuff. I mean, people, oh my God, the videos I got planned about the science-based magic of all this stuff. It is truly exceptional, affordable stuff that you can apply. I just absolutely love it. And, this is the kind of thing where, I love your story. It's just like, how you managed to overcome it. And it sounds almost like, especially this is something that a lot of people can relate to, because, you'd read the books, you'd watch some of the videos on YouTube, you knew the science. And it's like so many people do that, where they're like, yeah, I know this is good for me, I should be doing this. And it's just trying to find some way to make it convenient. And this is why I love Dr. Gil Carvalho on Nutrition Made Simple, where it's just like, look, however you get to a healthier you, it's like my father, who's like trying to transition to Mediterranean, 90% plant-based, and it's like other people who just like, like my mom, who's just like, I'll eat more mushrooms. And it's like, what it's like at the end of the day, it's like both you and I, we are vegan for so many reasons. It's not just the health, it's the sustainability, it's the ethics. I mean, my God, it's just like the whole series, what reasons to go and stay vegan. Is like there's 7 major reasons, and it's like I'll just list them off quickly here. So obviously you got the health. I would say the anti-aging is so powerful that it's almost like a second one. And then kind of related is like anti-pandemics, because it's like, oh my God, it's like 1 billion people literally could die within 6 months from avian flu pandemic. Then you've got the animal ethics, of course, killing 3 trillion animals a year. But there's also the human ethics. A lot of people don't realize there's about 15 million people enslaved by the animal industry, mostly in fishing, like actual literally slaves. That's kind of like, imagine if all the Nordic countries were enslaved and forced to fish for us. That's kind of thing. And of course, it's just like, even the non-slaves, it's like if you know about the tournament system, about how chicken farmers are essentially indentured servants to like Tyson Foods and Purdue, it's absolutely like, it's horrific. And then then of course there's like just the spiritual aspect where, you know, it's not even necessarily where like Hindus or Buddhists or Jains, but it's just like the sense of ahimsa that a lot of vegans have, that like we're trying to minimize suffering. And it's like when you learn about like all this stuff, it's just like, you know, there are alternatives. Like we do not need to cause suffering, so why would you cause it? And so these 7 major things, and of course, all, you know, in all of it, like the environmental sustainability, there's like 100 different branches. And like all of these reasons have 100 different branches and 1,000 different side branches. And like literally this channel is like, oh dude, I could do 5 videos a day every day for 100 years and not run out of topics. It's like, heck, the medical studies alone. But this is the thing, man. It's just like you are so inspiring because you're like doing it for a decade. And it's just like you struggled when you started out. You fell off the wagon for 6 whole months. And oh my God, man, it's like there's that is like one of those things, man. Like how many people start New Year's resolution saying, this month, I'm going 1 month, I'm going to eat clean every single day. And then the first day, a coworker brings some donuts. And they're like, oh, it would be impolite not to have one. But, oh, now my month is ruined, so I'm just going to binge on McDonald's all day. And it's just like, well, imagine that's the kind of things that we know logically. That it's like, no. It's like, you got to forgive yourself. And it's like, I mean, that's the thing. Is just like veganism is about what is practical, what is possible. There is no perfection, but this is the thing that so many people need to understand, that like we talked about last week, where if everyone just ate half as much meat, that would solve climate change. That's it. It's like we don't need 100%, and it's just like, you know, the animals will be grateful, the planet will be grateful, and this is dose response. It's like, okay, maybe you can't eat 10 servings of vegetables a day. It's like I eat about 11 servings of fruit a day, and it's just like, okay, but even 1, even 2, it's like we've seen the studies about like 7 extra grams of fiber is just like reduce your risk of dying of a heart attack by 9%. It's like, oh wow. It's like 1 extra serving of fruit, just 1 apple. It's not necessarily going to be like keep a doctor away, like we're going to be completely healthy, but it makes a difference. And you are living embodiment of that. And it's just like, do you have any other advice for anyone who is starting out, or maybe even has been vegan for several years, but is struggling because of any kind of, maybe it's winter. It's like, my God, the sun's down at 4:30. It's dark all the time.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know if I've formulated this well, so we might have to revisit it at some point, but my advice would be, or at least what strikes me at the moment is, try to find other vegans and plant-based people until you can find one who is inspiring and relatable when you talk to them. And I think the reason that I say that is when I talk to other vegans, we've got a foundation. Adam, you just mentioned the 7 major motivators for a person being vegan, and those were all pressing on me in that several month phase where I was not eating plant-based. So I was living in denial and kind of living in shame. But I think that helped kick me back over the edge. That's why I'm not one of those, I'm a former vegan, because all of that motivation, all the reasons to be vegan were still there. The reason I was able to trust it and I think get back on the track of living my values is because I happen to be one of the people that is so interested. I just found out that I was so interested in reading about nutrition. And if I hadn't read those, Furman and Campbell books cover to cover, I don't know if I would have been convinced that this is the right thing to do. Like a lot of people are not convinced that it's the right thing to do.
That is an incredible point that you bring up, because this is kind of the thing where it's like, Dr. Greger, Mike the Vegan, even Dr. Gil. It's just like my God, it's like, and Dr. McCaskill at Plant Chompers. I mean, these people just they love the science. You can just watch the channel. They're going through the studies and they find it fascinating and they make it come alive. I mean, it's like Dr. Greger is like, my God, man, it's just like the way he just like rolls through the studies, and it's just like it's so, I mean, he brings the sexy. He makes the science sexy. And it sounds like you having that deep understanding of that nutrition combined with these 6 other major reasons. This is kind of what I'm really trying to, over time, to help people understand that it's just like, I literally can't imagine like not being vegan for the rest of my life, because it's just like, my God, people, this is science-based magic, nutrition fueled sorcery. I mean, you are anti-aging. This is like, you're aging much, much slower, you're much healthier. And it's just like, and then the environmental benefits, the animal benefits, it's just like, when I see, people like, oh, I used to be vegan. It's like, though, it's like those people, it's like, I feel so bad for them, because it's like, oftentimes it's like, they don't know the nutrition, where they're like, some kind of, issue comes up, where the biggest thing is like you mentioned, where it's just like you weren't eating the right calories, where it's just like you put in the chronometer and you're eating 1,000 calories a day. It's like, well,
right. Yeah, I find the lack of nutritional awareness is extremely common among all of the vegans that I've met in terms of my peers. I think that, those of us that get so excited, I like the way you light up when you talk about Dr. Greger. That's how I felt when I was listening to Dr. Goldhammer on Rich Roll's podcast. It's one of the most entertaining interviews that I've ever listened to. So I'm fortunate that I found that so interesting and inspiring, and all of those data points that move me along. You've got all those data points that, I can believe you when you say that you can't imagine living not vegan. For me, there wouldn't be any reason. I wouldn't be able to be compelled to not be vegan. I've seen it in action. I've seen the studies. I'm plenty convinced. I can't take those brain, nuggets and transport them directly into somebody else's head. So if you're a vegan and you're struggling, find somebody to talk to, and I hope that you find one of us who is so, empowered by the nutritional aspects, because it hasn't made its way into the mainstream well enough yet.
And I will
there.
Yeah, to close this out, it's like, I would definitely recommend, and we'll have this in the description here linked. Plant Pure Communities is like a nationwide network. It's a nonprofit that organizes people. It's like here in Plant Pure, Minnesota, they do incredible potlucks. I mean, this is like whole food, plant-based. This is, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Furman style, low fat, vegan, cooking. It's absolutely delicious. And they tend to they have a presentation going through the nutrition. And I have literally seen a guy just wander in. It's like looking for a book. We gave him the food. He came back a month later, completely vegan. And was just like, I mean, this stuff works, people. It works. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, so many people, the nutrition is one of those things that you can directly apply to your life. It's like, you try this for a month. It's like, my God, this will so change your life. You will be like, you've got it. You'll go for a year, 2 years. You'll turn it into a habit. You'll learn about all the other reasons. And so this is why it's just like, it's just so exciting. It's just so exciting. And it's so much is, like you said, like the science. It's like, my God, we have thousands of studies. We have so many meta-analysis, tens of millions of people tracked for decades. It's just so incredible. And it will lead you down that rabbit hole. When you learn about stuff like the microbiome, we'll be talking about all this stuff like fiber, all the phytochemicals, how it all interacts. And just to give you an idea, there's about 200,000 plants, 70,000 are edible, 300,000 known phytochemicals. So it's just like, and that's known. There's quite possibly millions. And within the human body, within your cell, there's tens of thousands of chemical reactions going on at the exact same time. And this is what Dr. Campbell was talking about in his books about holistic approach to medicine where it's just like, let's not obsess over, one vitamin. It's just like that one vitamin, as an example that he gave, in an apple, based on the amount of vitamin C, there's the actual anti-inflammatory effects are 65 times more powerful, because all the other things that other than vitamin C, there's like, hundreds of different other vitamins and chemicals all working together. And it's like, we don't quite know. And this is the joys of science, where it's like, let's study and find out why. It's like, why is turmeric the most anti-inflammatory food ever discovered? It's just like, curcumin and the black pepper and the piperin and all this stuff. But at the end of the
symphony of effects and systems that work together. Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing. It works, and it's just like the joys of discovery. And so it's like, that's what me and Sean, we're here to help you every week and every day on Vegan Ultra, so that you can become the Captain America version of yourself, the healthiest, happiest version of yourself. Just remember, science-based magic and nutrition-fueled sorcery. This is how nature intended for all of us to live. We literally evolved together 4 billion years on spaceship Earth, and this is why. This is the way to just become the happiest version of yourself if you give it a chance and are powered by plants. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video to help other people find it on YouTube, and join us next week where we'll be talking about how to be a joyful and thriving vegan in the holidays.